Reefton Spur. Be in any hurry today. The road's pretty much empty because Melbourne's still in lockdown. But I haven't had a decent ride on the MT09 for most of the winter, so I'm just going to cruise today. Maybe talk a little bit about the MT09 and what I've done since my last walk around a couple of years ago. The last walk around I did was to discuss the carbon wheels, which I'd only just put on, and now I've done nearly 30,000 Ks on them. They are fantastic and worth the money. I actually think they'll get a pretty good resale too when the time comes. They hold up to a lot, you know, they don't deteriorate with corrosion or anything like that. Sorry, I'm just concentrating on the corners. Of course, is where the carbon wheels come into their own. The MT09 is a very lightweight bike, and with the carbon wheels it's extremely nimble. I mean, the amount of effort it takes to change directions on this is nothing. I'm barely touching it and it just leads into corners. This bike weighs, fully fueled, 178 kilos. The carbon wheels knocked a few kilos off, which brought it down to that. So you can sort of imagine it's the weight of your typical 350, 400. With crazy power, which I have to just modulate lightly. I don't need any power for this road, even uphill like this. And if you can hear it, which I'm sure you can, I've got a Van Diemen all titanium exhaust on the back, sorry, on the engine, and all the noises going out the back. Sounds pretty good. It weighs about 3.1 kilos or something. Very, very light. That's where a lot of the light weight of the bike came from. And I've had the bike tuned by Tune Boy in Sydney, so the throttle control is a lot better than the normal MT09s. They're normally a little bit snatchy. This one doesn't suffer from that. That's the flipper that comes with Tune Boy's tune. So now I've got the up and down quick shifter. It also comes with cruise control, but the cruise control's not that great. It's only good for giving your wrist a bit of a relax. It doesn't hold its speed up and down hills all that well. But I haven't checked with Tune Boy on what his latest is. Well, I haven't checked for about 2 years, to be honest. 18 months. The other thing I've done, talking about brakes, I've got some aftermarket rotors on this bike, complete with EBC double H pads, and they make a huge difference. They really improve the bite. I don't think the modulation is hugely good. Maybe that could possibly be improved with a better master cylinder, but in terms of outright power, especially on light, you know, one finger or one toe application, it's got plenty of power. There's so much more friction in there, and I put that down mostly to the rotor, not to the pads. If you put double H pads on the standard Yami rotors, I can't say I can tell much difference. You know, it's barely noticeable. Something that has come up recently is the fact that there's a new MT09 with better chassis dynamics, and I have ridden that bike. I've had a bit of a test ride, and I can attest to the fact that it feels more stable. It seems to be hold a line in a turn better than the original MT09, and even turns into the turn better. But the question is, how does it compare to this one? Well, I've done some things to this bike, as you can tell, with the wheels, and I've got Öhlins cartridges in the front, Öhlins rear shock. So if this bike was going to handle, it would certainly have every reason to now. But what I've noticed is that this bike really does need a few more little tweaks, and the one in particular I'm thinking of is to lower the bike on the triple clamps, on the forks. If you do that, it sharpens the steering, and that feeling on the original MT09 when you take a turn of it always trying to stand up, you kind of have to hold it down. This one you don't. This one, because I've lowered it on the forks, it now has a much nicer behaviour mid-turn, where it just stays there once you put it down there, and that's a really nice bonus. I do think though that the new MT09, with all similar hardware that this one's got, with really good forks, 4 cartridges and carbon wheels and all that, it would probably handle a little better than this one. So it's always a thought to, you know, maybe upgrade to the new one. The other thing is, performance wise, the new one has a lot of power, that sort of mid-range 4 to 8,000, but then so does this one. This This makes 94 horsepower on the dyno at 7,000 revs, which I think would give the new MT09 in stock form a run for its money, which is probably fair enough. You know, a tuned version is always going to give you a 10% boost, so it's not a fair comparison. But that sort of raises the question, I mean, why would I upgrade for the new one? I'm not overly taken with electronics. I think the new SP would be nice with the proper cruise control. That could definitely get me interested. And I do like the riding position of the new MT09. It's got bigger shoulders on the tank, and your legs, especially for a tall guy. I'm 192. My son's even taller at 198, and we both really like the way the MT09 cups your legs and puts you into a good holding position that takes the weight off your arms. This one, you might notice if I get a chance, my knees don't sit up against those shoulders of the tank. I'm just a little further back, and sitting up right up front just feels awkward. A lot of people do, but it doesn't suit me. Spending all my thought power on talking about the bike and not on what I'm doing. It's a strange corner, this one. All that rubbish off the trees. So what else have I done to this? I think I've changed my mirrors. These are just cheap Chinese mirrors, but I've put convex mirror glass in them, because the cheap ones were just flat and you couldn't see anything out of them. The only problem I have with these, if I get real bumpy, they move. They're not quite bound tight enough. In good order today. It's dry. There's a few leaves on the road, but they're not going to cause me any trouble. Now one of these, I'm not sure which one it is, the decreasing radius corner. It's not this one. I think it's the next one. You think you got it good, but you got to hold wide before you cut in, because it decreases the radius right there. Too much more to go. Oop, stick. The last bend. A bit tighter than most. Stuff. Watching the signs then, didn't see it coming. I'm only going to go as far as the turn off up here. Enjoy the forest a bit, have a cup of coffee or hot chocolate or something.